again, going back and watching that, we went over everything about belt testing, the promotion parade, all of the events we have coming up in May. So just so you guys know for right now, belt testing, I'll recap this really quickly. Belt testing, Tigers and Dragons are assigned to a test either Friday at 3:30 or Saturday at 12 p.m. So if you're not sure of your time, go back and check that list. If you were pre-tested after that, call the studio today or text your instructor that you're doing private lessons with, and we will get you added to a list at one of those times. Okay, that's it for the Tiger Dragon testing. For GUP students, all of the paperwork was due yesterday. So if you did not do it, we're planning on you not testing. So you could call or message me on Facebook today and get it in and probably apologize. And I'll see if Master Lappin will let you test, even though it was all due yesterday. Stars were due yesterday, so I am going to post the list of the stars today because there are some people, all of you guys have been turning them in and been really on top of it. If anybody though, if they didn't turn in their stars or something happened, I'll post that list just so we can double check it before Saturday. But that's the last day, so make sure that you proof the number of stars you've turned in once I post that list on Facebook, and I'll email it out. And then so you'll have today and tomorrow to look at that. Okay, what else for announcements? The promotion parade is going to be next Saturday, May 9th. So 1 week after the test, when it was already scheduled for our GUP students. Tigers and Dragons are going to get to do that too. It's going to be really fun. We have a lot of cool stuff kind of planned for that. And it's going to be between 12 and 3 p.m. Each rank does have an assigned time to come. So please try to come during your assigned time. We talked about that all on that live yesterday as well. And I am going to send out a May newsletter so you guys can all look at all of those dates and all of those details, and the time frames for everything is on there. What else with that? Newsletter, talked about testing. That calendar. So we've always had that Gmail calendar that you guys can go on to in the Facebook group, but now all of you guys are looking at everything virtually, so probably using it a little bit more. But if you go to, in the Facebook group, go to the announcements tab, and it's like the very first thing there is a link to our Google Calendar. Miss Teresa posted a way for you to save that to your own calendar. So you guys can go ahead and do that and see everything we have going on in May on there. I have fully updated May. June through the rest of the year is still set exactly the way our schedule was beforehand. So June, if we are still virtual, may be modified. The things in June might not be exactly the way they are in that calendar. So just keep an eye out for it. Don't just don't just print it out and then never look at it again, because May is finalized, but June and anywhere afterwards may be modified depending on what's going on with everything, with schools, with the coronavirus, with everything like that, with the state restrictions, all of that kind of stuff. Okay, I am going to do our, let 3 people say their favorite thing about training at Middleburg Martial Arts. Again, it's only 3 people. The first 3 people that raise their hands are gonna get to say their favorite thing about Middleburg Martial Arts. And then we'll talk about one more thing. I do have, before I even do that, I do have well, let's do our 3 favorite things first. So Ezekiel, I'll let you go first. What is your favorite thing about training at Middleburg Martial Arts?
That you can still talk to your friends.
Yeah, so even right now, being virtual, you're getting to interact with your friends and talk with your friends. And when we're in the studio, making friends and keeping those and building those relationships. Good. All right, Miss Katie, what is your favorite thing about training at Middleburg Martial Arts?
The family that I've gained.
Awesome. Awesome. Very awesome. A lot of our guest speakers have talked about that too. And Miss Abby, what is your favorite thing about training at Middleburg Martial Arts?
My favorite is because you get to play games.
Oh, the games. Yeah, the games are pretty fun. And so I have a couple announcements. I know you guys were on. We nominated a couple people. I want to congratulate Miss Abby. She did her final qualification for leadership yesterday. So she is our newest leadership member, as well as Mr. Maverick. Maverick is our other newest leadership member. So let's give them a round of applause. Congratulations, you guys. Okay, and then I have one other person today that I want to nominate for our master's program. So this is a student, who has made so much progress. It has shown, especially since we've gone virtual, so much discipline in his routine and his practicing, and commitment to his goal of black belt and of testing for his next belt right now. He has done, I think, every single daily challenge that Miss Katie has posted, even the one Master Lappin posted. He was the only one who did that one. His dad did it with him too. And that's a big part of this training for the younger students. If you listen to the guest speakers we've had that were young when they started, that was on their parents just as much as it was on the kids. At 5 years old, having that self-discipline is up to the parent more than anything. And all of our students on here who are in our master's program, in our leaders program, you guys have that with your parents. So we need to make sure that we appreciate them too, because they are keeping you, they're helping us and helping you learn all of those things, the discipline, the commitment, all of those things. A big part of that is your parents. And so I would like to nominate Mr. Dylan Tennigan for Masters Club, because he has shown so much commitment to bettering himself, and he has improved so much since he started. So let's give him a round of applause. Good. All right. So Mr. Dylan is going to complete the rest of his application, and then we will meet and discuss Masters Club for him. Who wants to tell me some of the things that are, we kind of touched base on this really briefly yesterday, but some of the things that you have to do to be nominated for masters or leaders? What do you think the instructors, like Dylan's a perfect example. I talked about how much he's improved. What do you think are some of the things that the instructors are looking at when they say, yes, let's nominate him now? What do you think are some of those things? Abby?
Because they're looking with their eyes.
Yeah, focusing with their eyes. And with that focus, do you think that somebody, now a lot of you guys are in leadership, do you think that that means focusing with your eyes 100% all the time? It should, but it doesn't really. But do you think that it means always trying your best to focus? Do you think that it means trying to be better at focusing? Yeah, so I see a lot of people on here that are maybe looking down or whatever, not focusing right at me. And that's okay, because I know that the students that we've nominated for leadership or masters are improving. They are not perfect. Nobody's perfect, but they have made progress. And that's what our program is all about. We start our program, when anyone begins in our program, in our just our basic martial arts program, I tell them our goal is for you by the end of this first year to qualify for either master's or leadership training. That's our black belt training programs. So they have to improve. It's different for everybody, but they have to show that they're committed to improving and bettering themselves in things like focusing and things like respect and confidence and all of those areas. But does that mean that somebody who's not confident is never going to get invited into leadership? No, this is where they learn the leadership. Now, if I see somebody who's not very confident, who is trying to improve their confidence, that's somebody who's ready to be in leadership. Okay, so I want to talk about that for a minute too. I want to talk about who in here thinks that black belts are perfect? Who in here thinks that anybody is perfect? Raise your hand. No, there is nobody who is perfect, right? There is no one in this whole world that's perfect. Grandmaster is not perfect. And as martial artists, as black belts, it is so important for us to remember to consider other people and not judge other people. So incredibly important. I was just listening to a podcast this morning. If anyone knows Rachel Hollis, I'm a huge fan of Rachel Hollis, but she was doing a broadcast this morning, and she was talking about how fortunate we are right now. There's people who are acting like, who use the joke, like I'm in prison right now in my home. But no, we're not in prison. If you think about the things that people go through in prison, this is not it. And we are so fortunate to be in quarantine. We are so lucky that we have the opportunity to be in an air-conditioned house, to have food in our refrigerator, to have parents taking care of us. There are so many things that we take for granted. And that, we lose perspective so quickly. Because if you are complaining about being in quarantine because you can't see your friend or you can't go to the zoo or whatever it might be, think about the people that are battling cancer, that are homeless on the street. There's so many people in such worse positions than we are. So we should be very grateful to be in quarantine. And I just want to talk about that for a second. I want to talk about that perspective. There are not many things that will get me more upset than hearing somebody. I hear it in the karate studio more than anywhere else, but even when I was outside of the karate studio, then hearing people judge other people. Now, even right now, everyone's going through kind of hard times, right? So, and everyone's level of hard times is a little bit different. But if you hear somebody being really mean or really upset or really stressed out or whatever, and you're feeling the same way, try your hardest not to take it out on them, but try to be understanding that they could be going through something really bad. They could be going through something way worse than you. You have no idea. You have absolutely no idea. There's a story, I don't remember what it's from, but I want to tell it, and I'm going to butcher it probably, but it's about this guy is on the subway. He's on the subway, and there is this mom with her 3 kids on the subway, and the mom is just like looking down at her lap, just not paying attention. The kids are like hitting the people around them and running around like crazy wild animals. And he's like, oh my God. And he says something to her about, can you control your kids? Like, this is ridiculous. He was trying to read a book and they were distracting him, and they're distracting and disturbing everybody on the train. And she's like, yes, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. We just left the hospital, and my husband just passed away. And I'm so sorry. And like, think about that. This guy was all upset because he was reading a book and these kids were misbehaving, but these kids just all lost their father. So having that perspective and not jumping to conclusions about anybody. I've seen it in the studio. I remember one time we had a girl, and it was a black belt test. It was a black belt test. And who thinks that we have high standards for our black belts? Raise your hand if you think we have high standards for our black belts. It takes longer to get a black belt in the Tong Soo Do Association than most other styles. Not styles, because in jiu-jitsu it takes way longer. But most similar styles, taekwondo, things like that, other schools, it doesn't take as long. And it's because we make sure our black belts are at a certain standard. So now there's a parent of a kid who's in great health, who, can jump 6 feet in the air and do these awesome spin kicks. And he came to Master Lappin all upset, and he was like, how could you possibly let her test for her black belt? Why is she, I hope she's not passing this black belt test, because that's going to ruin the whole meaning of the black belt if she can pass this black belt test. Because he was referring to a girl that we had testing for a black belt who was very overweight and could not kick above her belt. Now, who in here has been told, pick your kicks up higher? Your kicks need to be above your belt. Yeah, all of us have. Our kicks should be above your belt. And this parent knew that. So he's like, she better not pass her black belt test. You have no idea what somebody else is going through. He had no idea that student had fibromyalgia, that she had all of these different health issues, and that she had improved so incredibly much. She could still defend herself. She knew how to do the kicks right. She was doing them perfect, the technique. She was not capable of kicking above her belt for medical reasons. And I have like goosebumps like that. I cannot tell you guys who in here has seen me upset. If you've been in a black belt workout, you've probably seen me get kind of heated up. But that is the fastest way to see me upset. You have no right to say anything or judge any other student. Physically or mentally, you have no idea what they are going through. We have several students that have ADHD, who have ODD, who do not have one of their parents in their lives, who are in the foster care system. I had a student who within our program was in our program for 1 year and went to 5 different foster care homes, switched schools 4 different times. You have no idea when you see somebody on the mats and they're misbehaving a little bit, you have no idea what the background for that is. So do not ever assume that our instructors are not considering that student and what they're going through and what their history is, what their health is, what their mental health is, and helping them just like we are you or your student. Does everybody understand that? Everywhere you go. I remember when I was in 4th grade, I was in like 4th grade, and there was a girl in our class who had, I'll like be totally frank, well, this is what I thought that day, right? This girl had really ugly clothes on, really ugly clothes. They were old, they had holes in them, they were so ugly. And there were about 4 or 5 girls who were all teasing her. Now, I wasn't a part of that teasing, but I didn't stop it. I didn't say anything about it. I didn't know. And I mean, in my head, I'm thinking, yeah, her clothes are ugly. Even if I wasn't part of that, I mean, obviously that's bullying, but I wasn't a part of that. But I remember seeing it and not stopping it because it was, her clothes were not cute. And what they were saying, I thought was true. And then I found out like a week later that her family is on the verge of homelessness. And those are the only clothes she has. And you just, no matter where you are, do not judge people. Ever. Don't judge people. And that's part of being a black belt. We have talked to all of these leaders that have mentioned leadership is about getting others to do their best and be their best and putting other people before yourself. So if you as a student trying to be a black belt, or you as a parent, a lot of you guys have your parents who can hear me. If you are teaching your child that judgment, then you are doing them a huge disservice. And if you as a kid or as an adult, as a student of martial arts, if you're judging other people, then you need to work on that. Because as black belts, as with black belt excellence, that is never something that we do. Never. Do you guys all understand that? Okay. Sorry for going on that rant, but that's we can't have that in the studio or anywhere. That should not be a part of our society. And we can all be a part of changing that too. If you spread, we talked about this so much with the book that we just read, What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. If you spread negative talk, negative thoughts, negative actions out in the world, those spread like wildfire. They do. I say one thing to Miss Ann, she says it to Miss Katie, she says it to Mara, she says it to Maya, and they all spread it to 10 other people, and it's negative. Right? Now, if I say something positive to Miss Ann, she might say it to Miss Katie, who might say it to Miss Mara, who might say it to Miss Maya, and they each spend it with 10 other people, and it's positive. So think about the self-talk, the self-speak is what that is, that we're sharing in the world, okay? All right. With that being done, does anyone have any questions about any upcoming events or any announcements that we made last night in the Facebook Live? Any questions about the test? Any questions about the promotion parade? Anything like that? If you have not watched the video yet, watch the video before you ask questions, because it should answer most of them. Yes, Caleb.
Are we going to be doing stars at the end?
Yes, sir. We are going to do stars at the end. Absolutely. Hopefully you have some if you're asking. Mackenzie, you have a question?
It's not a question. I just wanted to say that's why there's the saying in the world, don't judge a book by its cover, because you don't know what they've been through.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Very good. That's a very good quote. And there's the book. What is the book? Something with the fish, with all the rainbow fish. Is that what it's called? I don't know.
Rainbow fish.
Rainbow fish. Yeah, it's a good one. All right.
Yeah, rainbow fish.
Abby, what is your question, my dear?
Do you have to paint your car with you on it?
No. Okay. So at the promotion parade, one thing that we're doing 2 contests. One, parents are going to get to promote the students afterwards, and you post a video on your Facebook status and check in at Middleburg Martial Arts. You'll get a star. And the one that is the most like Master Lappin would present a belt is going to get a gift card. The other contest is if you want to decorate your car, you can, and you'll enter that contest. So it would be really fun and really exciting and help make it special for the kids. But you don't have to. If you don't want to decorate your car, you don't have to at all. But you can. You could put a poster on the car. You can do the car window paint, whatever you want to do. Celebrating you could put your goal date on it. You could put class of 2024, whatever your black belt class of 2024, or congratulations on your green belt, whatever you want to put on there. Doesn't have to be big. It can be really little or it can be crazy. The most creative one is going to win a gift card to a local restaurant, but you do not have to participate in either of those contests. Okay, anybody else have a question? Miss Lane.
So stars, are they counting for this time or next time?
Stars ended yesterday. So if you earn any future stars, those will count towards next time. Okay, Miss Rihanna.
So I don't have a question, but I just wanted to share something.
Yeah.
I was in an art class a couple months ago, and I was sitting with my friends, and they were basically making fun of the new student. And I was kind of annoyed that they were doing that, but I tried to stay away from it because I don't get why they would do that. I mean, it's just wrong. So I just tried to stay out of it.
Yeah. And that's something that it's good that you recognize that. And then the next step in that, maybe the next time you see it, you can think about it and think about, where that person is coming, the person who's being teased, what could possibly be going on in their life? Because they could be having a really, really hard time at home or with moving. They just left all of their friends. I'm sure they're having a hard time. And help stand up for that person, or even just befriending that person can go such a long way. But I think that's a really important thing. That's kind of the story I was telling when I was young, and that girl was being made fun of for her clothes, and I didn't stand up for her or do anything. And I befriended her the next week, and I remember getting a bag of clothes. I don't know if Mom, if you remember this, she's on here, bringing a bag of clothes and donating it to her and befriending her. And that's one of those things that when we get to black belt, we develop the confidence and the assertiveness. And with that confidence comes a certain attitude of, it doesn't matter if I think these girls are going to laugh at me for being friends with this person or for standing up to them. It doesn't matter because this is the right thing to do. And that's part of that leadership attribute. So I would love, Rihanna, next time you see something like that, for you to either stand up for that person in a nice, respectful way, or to befriend that person and make them feel welcome and comfortable. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and go into our guest speaker today. So we have Miss Ann, who is going to be speaking with us. She has been on, I think, almost every mat chat that we've had, even though she has to get on from work. So I really appreciate her always being on here. I'm gonna read a little bio that she sent me. So you guys have a little bit of background. Who knows Miss Ann? Most of us know her and love her. Yeah, I think everyone knows her. She's an awesome martial artist. She is, we've used her as an example a lot recently because she is in the middle of her master's test. So if you guys don't know, testing for 4th degree and master's, it's like a minimum of 20 years of training before you can get there, pretty close to that. And it's a 2-year test. So think about it. Think about anything you guys have done right now. Maybe you're like, oh man, I don't get to do my gut test in person. I was so looking forward to that. I've been working for it for 3 months. Well, she's been working towards this test for about 20 years. And she was told they canceled it. They canceled the master's clinic. So for her, she finished her first year and this was her 2nd year. So she was going to finish her test this year and then receive her promotion. And they pushed it out a year. And that's hard. So I know my heart goes out to everyone who was supposed to test for their black belts this time. But as you guys know, that master's test is way, way above what a black belt test means. And that shows incredible perseverance and dedication to training, to just be like, okay. And her and some of the other candidates, again, a certain amount of dedication that this shows, they've gotten together and they've done candidate trainings. So they're all getting together on Zoom and practicing because they need to stay ready and on top of it and prepared for the next test. So they need to, I know for you guys testing for black belts, you guys were on your game, you were in shape, you were ready to go, and you're having to push it out 2 months which is hard because you've got to keep up your cardio, keep up your classes, all of that kind of stuff for a couple months. She has to do it for probably a whole nother year. So I'm going to go ahead and read her bio. She received her bachelor's in science in biology in 1992, her MED in secondary education in 1994. She had several short-term jobs until they settled in Jacksonville. And then she's been in Tapestry for 13 plus years. She leads a team of 7, but has managed projects with up to 120 people. She started training in 2005 at the age of 35. So I love that she is on here, and I love that Mr. Bourlet is on here. And even Master Lappin, Master Lappin started training when she was like 18 years old. But then we have Miss Ann started when she was 35. I think Mr. Bourlet said he was 28 when he started training. There is nothing that says you have to be a child to start training, or you have to be under 30 years old to start training, or anything like that. You can start training at any time and still make it to these goals of master's belt and things like that. So I love that she's on here talking to you guys. Now, if you asked any of those guys, do they wish they had the opportunity to start training at 4 years old? What would you say, Miss Ann?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because then it's easier to learn things at that age. You know, it gives you a little bit of a head start, but you're never too old to start training and to reach new goals, to set new goals for yourself and reach new goals. Okay. She received her Chodon in 2009, her Edon in 2011, and then her Somdon in 2014. She has held regional positions of judging coordinator and treasurer. And that's a big thing too. We only have, there's only a couple regional positions. There's regional director, which as most of you guys know is Master Hutchinson. There's the regional treasurer, which is Miss Ann. She also handles all of the judging for the region. And there's the regional secretary, which is me. And do we have any other positions in the in the region? That's it, right? Regional director is the other big one. But so that's, and think about, you know, those are people who are, myself, Master Hutchinson is a 5th degree master. So for Miss Ann to have a position is awesome. And she's done really well with it. She's been the best treasurer we've had. Okay. She also helps us run black belt camps. So she does a lot for us in Middleburg Martial Arts and a lot for the WTSDA family and for our region. She loves teaching at Middleburg Martial Arts, and I'm going to quote her on this. And as strict as I may seem to some, it makes my heart full. And that, I think, is so true for all of us, especially those of us who are strict. I know I have been called strict once or twice. And you know, that doesn't mean because you have a strict instructor. When somebody gets onto you, when your parents get onto you, when they correct you, when they discipline you, it's because they care and they want you to be better. If I don't care how you are as a martial artist, I'm not going to correct anything. I'm just going to say, good job, and give you a pat on the back. If I care and I want you to be better and to do better, then I'm going to work with you and I'm going to tell you, you need to fix this. And I know Miss Ann is very similar to me, and she does care deeply about all of our students. Okay, so she does all that. She does a lot for the region, for the association, for our school, on top of her full-time job in management. So she's a perfect example of commitment to martial arts and of leadership. So thank you so much, Miss Ann, for agreeing to talk with everybody today. We really appreciate it. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and go into those questions that you guys have all heard before.
I probably should have been paying attention, right?
Yeah, I know, you would have had all the answers. All right, so my first question for you.
Master Luton, can I
Yes.
just interrupt for 1 second? Because I do have to get off and get on that other conference call, unfortunately, and I'll watch this later. But Miss Bono has also been very, very active in the Parents Club. I didn't hear you say that, but that's kind of the glue that keeps the parents together and the studio together and everything else. So I wanted to acknowledge her for that and just for being here. Thank you very much, Ann. We really appreciate it. I'm sorry I have to get off.
I understand. Thank you.
All right, so Miss Ann, how did the Black Belt leadership training at Middleburg Martial Arts help you in your career?
In my career, good question. Before I started training, I had minimal leadership. I did have some leadership, but it was all here, lead, basically, you know, someone telling you to do that. The leadership from Middleburg Martial Arts even though I started probably when I was a higher rank, I can't remember when I started, Mara might know, just listening to the gold meetings, to the things like the mat chats. It's these little extra things, not necessarily the curriculum, that sunk in with me. And more than anything, it pointed out where I needed to work on. Some of the things you talked about today are things I struggle with. Judging people. I've gotten better about keeping, like, not saying things, but I'll think things and I'm thinking, and then I'll take a step back and say, no, I really don't know. But there were times when I wouldn't. There were times before when I would just say, some of the things that maybe that other parent said. But I don't do that like that anymore. I catch myself, so I'm learning. So even if you're an accomplished leader, you are always learning, you are always getting better. There are always ways you can improve, but it doesn't mean you're a bad leader. It means you're still growing.
Yeah, thank you. That was very well said. I'm going to kind of modify this. So with that being said, how would you describe yourself when you started training versus yourself when you got your black belt, after you received your black belt?
When I started training, I was there as a family activity. I started after Mara started, but probably about halfway through is when I realized I would stick with it because I loved it. It increased my discipline because at 35, I didn't have a lot. Okay. Some people, most of you on here are well ahead of where I was because you're learning that self-discipline and some of the other things, the tenets and the codes, you take those to heart much before age 35. And while I wasn't a bad person, I had a lot of room to grow. So by the time I got to black belt, I felt I was I don't even know how to explain it. I felt like I was a better person, and it had nothing to do with the skills I had learned. So not that that was a bad thing either. Those are integral, of course, to being a martial artist, being defend yourself and do the techniques and everything. But just being a better person was my biggest accomplishment, I think. Yeah,
well, that's huge. That's kind of what I was saying today too. Martial arts, getting into nominated for masters isn't about being perfect, but about getting to that point, recognizing that I can better myself, that I can do better, I can be better, and putting yourself in a position where you are trying to be that way. And that's what makes a good leader. And there are leaders who are successful who don't put others before themselves, but good leaders put other people before themselves and recognize that they are not perfect. They give other people the credit when they achieve something, and sometimes they take the blame when their subordinates do something wrong. And that's all part of leadership, is recognizing that you can better yourself as a person. Good. Okay. How would you say that your leadership training at Middleburg Martial Arts helped you as a parent?
Wow, that's one you haven't asked for yet, I don't think.
It's not, but it's a good one, because I know I've seen that so much in myself. And one of the questions on here was in school, but you were out of school already. You already had your degree before you started training. But so many things that we learn as martial artists that affect the way we handle other people in every area. And so I think as a parent, that's a big one. So yeah.
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. It's kind of stumped me. I'm looking at my daughter right now. She's on here. And I'm wondering if she has any thoughts. I don't know if I got maybe a little more calm after I started martial arts or not, or just maybe took things. I mean, there are still times when I get upset, obviously, and just kind of go off my rocker every once in a while. But I don't know if the martial arts has gotten me to a point where I can stop and think and be calm when situations arise. I don't know. I would love to hear what Mara has to say, actually. She's raising her hand.
Mara, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah. So I think doing martial arts with your parent is just the best thing ever, because when you're at the studio, it's that parent-child dynamic kind of shifts away and you're just students together. So there's so you're equals, so you can talk to each other, you can understand each other. Some of our best conversations have happened on the car rides home after martial arts, because we can talk to each other in such an open way. And when I was a teenager, you would hear all your friends like, oh, I had this disagreement with my mom and she just doesn't understand me. And I never felt like that because we were just always communicating.
That's nice.
That, that is huge. And I've never really thought about it like that, but I have that, obviously have that exact same thing with my family, with a lot of my family members that have trained. We say it all the time. It's such a bonding experience. You go to tournaments together, you belt test together, and you guys did belt test together. A lot of your belt tests were together. Your big ones were together. And that's a huge bonding experience. But what really makes it a bonding experience is that you guys go to a mat chat and we talk about not judging people. And then you have a conversation about it. And it sparks conversations like that. You guys talk about the class you just took and how good of a workout you had. And it sparks a conversation. And it's something for you guys to bond with each other, connect with each other, talk about your struggles with each other, talk about your successes with each other, that a lot of times, especially in the teenage years, parents and kids don't have that because there's so many differences. But to have something like martial arts bonding them together, that's a really big thing. Good. So thank you, Mara, for adding to that. I appreciate that. All right, Miss Ann, what would you say is the most important thing you benefited from your black belt leadership training?
Leadership through service, I think. Before martial arts, I never really thought about leadership. To me, leaders and managers were the same before martial arts, and I obviously think different now. I have to serve my team at work. I have to serve my class at karate. I am there to help them, not to help me. I'm there to make them better, technically, emotionally, physical fitness. Everything. I'm there to make their life better. And I'm there to make my teams better here at Tapestry as well. I just had a person today who is moving on to a different shift, because it's a better opportunity from him. And I didn't say, I'm mad at you. I said, congratulations, this is great for you. This is going to keep him from having to get a second job or something, so you have to be there for that other person. And that's not really something I considered before this, but serving, even though I wanted to be a teacher, I went to school to be a teacher and I love teaching, but I did it because I loved it, not necessarily because I wanted to, I don't think it was really ingrained in me to make other people's lives better, to really do that. But that's my biggest thing. So leadership through service.
Yeah, and that's a big thing. A piece of martial arts is you get higher in the belts, it increasingly becomes more about servitude. And you see a lot of people who don't get that, and they don't make it. They don't make it to black belt. They don't, because they're like, why do I have to commit all of this time to martial arts? Why do I have to do this? And I'm like, because that's how you become a black belt, period, point blank. I'm not going to waive it for you. Sorry. You don't want to do it. You don't have to. But that in master's camp, when you're a candidate, the theme of the whole master's clinic is servitude. You have senior instructors, 6th degree black masters, 7th degree masters teaching you and devoting their time. I didn't even think about this until the end of the second year. And I was like, wow, this person came all the way to Alabama from San Diego, and she sacrificed her entire master's clinic where she could have been training and working with all of these people to teach the candidates. That's servitude. And there is not a single master I have ever met who doesn't fully understand that concept of servitude. There are black belts I've met who don't get it quite yet, because you're just starting in that. The black belt, the meaning of the black belt part of it is the end of one life cycle and the beginning of the next. And that, I think, is the biggest part of it. The biggest new life cycle is that cycle of servitude. And that becomes greater and greater as you go up in the ranks. It's always funny and I know you've seen this, I think we've laughed about it, at black belt camp. We have a rule at our regional black belt camp that the masters eat first, right? So everyone's kind of sitting there waiting for the masters to eat, but all the masters have this mentality of servitude. So they're like, they feel guilty eating before anybody else. They don't like it. So they're all kind of hesitant to go up to there and get food. They let people go before them and stuff like that. And it's always funny because everyone tries to do this as a symbol of respect and let them go first, but they have that mentality of servitude ingrained in their bones and they have a hard time going first. So that's a huge thing. And that's a part of parenting too, that a lot of people just naturally develop. But I know for me, training before I became a parent, I had those things and I've fallen back on those things and related to so much of my martial arts training through parenting. Okay, my last question. So we actually have some members on today that are in the same similar boat as you are, that are families, parents training with their families, parents over the age of 30 who are considering making the commitment to black belt and into leadership training. So what would you tell a student or a parent who's considering making that commitment to black belt leadership training?
One, there's nothing else like it. And it's not always easy. I know there are struggles because it's a time commitment, it's a financial commitment, it is a mental commitment. The benefits far outweigh any of those, the struggles you may have. I know it may not be a struggle for everybody, but in one of those ways, it was a struggle for me. Just the benefits that I've seen in my children and doing it with them. I have to, like I said, I have to be a better person because they're learning to be better people and they're looking at me. And I am the ultimate role model, not just on the mat, but at school or at home, everywhere I go. And it's something I have to think about. But like I said, the benefits far outweigh. I mean, if you're on the fence for any reason, don't just dismiss it. If you think you can't afford it, don't just dismiss it. Think about it. Talk to the studio. If you think that it's too much of a time commitment, look at the students we've had on this past week. 15 years old, getting 4.2s and teaching classes. It can be done. And I just would hate to see anybody pass up that opportunity because it is an opportunity, and not just from an adult, but from the kids and the adults together. So like as an adult, I have gained so much. I can't imagine my life without it at this point. It is a way of life. And things that you teach in the leadership program, I hear the same things when I go to church. I hear the same things at work. It may be worded a little bit differently, but it's the same kind of way of life. So I just don't dismiss it off the cuff when they ask you if you want to be in leaders. Really sit down and talk about it as a family. Go in and talk to the instructors. You've seen that we all want the best for all of you, whether you're 4 or whether you're 40 or 50. I love seeing the adults on here and the families on here. I wish there were more. I know there's parents listening, so I really wish those parents would step on the mat. I first stepped on the mat at the anniversary party in August with my daughter at Earn Your White Belt class. I earned my white belt and I walked out after signing up. I signed up that day. Never thought I really would have done that, but I was interested. I'm like, oh, why not? I can do it with Mara, and then, it was fun. So I guess that's it.
Thank you. Thank you. And is there anything you want to say about leadership to these guys?
My biggest thing I think I already said is just remember that leadership is a service. And if you want to lead people well, you have to consider other people's needs. Leadership isn't about your needs. It is about the institution's needs. So your studio, your region, your world, and the students. And the students make up all 3 of those. So they come first. So the students come first, and it's a positive feeling in many, many ways. It's many positive feelings you get from doing that, from helping someone. I posted on Miss Katie's thing of the day the other day when you had the parents write paragraphs, and I'm like practically crying reading all of those things. It was incredible. It's like that's it's like like I said, it makes my heart full to see how people have improved, and that was only a small portion of our students. So I know we touch people, I know we make a difference, and I know there's a few that maybe we can't reach, but for the most part, it's so worth it, and there's no better feeling. There's other instructors on here today and other black belts on here today. I see Miss Maya. I know Cora's on here. I can't remember who else I saw. Kalia's a black belt. Mara, Katie, Miss Becky. So they know what I'm talking about, and I think they'd all probably say the same thing to you: is don't stop, keep going. It's just a wonderful feeling. I don't know how you could not want to do it.
Thank you very much, Miss Ann.
Yep.
And I really appreciate you getting up and talking in front of everybody. And I know everybody enjoyed that. That was great. So let's all unmute ourselves and say Kamapsimnida. Thank you.
Kamapsimnida, Miss Ann.
All right, does anyone have any quick questions for Miss Ann? And then we will do stars. Any quick questions? Okay. Any quick questions?
Katie.
Yeah. Katie, any question?
She has her hand up.
I don't see her. Go ahead, Katie. I don't know where you are, but go ahead.
Miss Ann, I just wanted to say thank you because I know you being at every black belt workout with me, and when I was struggling, you're like, you can do it, you've got this, and you shared your story with me, and I feel like I can relate with you a whole lot on the struggle that both you and I have, and I just wanted to say thank you so much.
You are welcome.
Good job, Miss Katie.
All right, Miss Skylar, go ahead.
How old were you when you started?
I was 35 years old. I already had a 2-year-old son and a 6-year-old or 7-year-old daughter when I started.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Caleb, what's your question?
How old were you when you got your black belt?
39 about, maybe. I think maybe 39 or something like that. It was maybe 38. I was 3.5 years. I didn't miss a test, which I was surprised at. I wasn't ready to test for my black belt, and Master Leppin said, "You're testing for your black belt." She goes, you're testing in the spring. I'm like, "Oh, yes, ma'am."
You're ready. All right, any other questions? Okay, I think that is it. Sometimes it's hard. We have so
I
many
just
people.
want to say thank you to Miss Ann for helping us with the stuff that we need.
Who was that?
That was Lane.
Me.
That's who I thought it was, Lane. Thank you. You guys are always very respectful to me, and I appreciate that. And you're getting better and better, and I love seeing it.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. That progress and that growth makes it really is warms your heart a little bit.
It
All
does.
right, Brianna, what is your question?
I think it was like around in October when I was testing for my green.
I can barely hear you.
Yep, go ahead one more time.
When I wasn't testing for my green belt yet, but when I was getting ready to test, I had a lot of private lessons with Miss Ann, and she taught me all the forms I needed to know and all the grabs. And I wouldn't be here without her. So thank you.
You're welcome. I love seeing you guys get better and better. You're an awesome student too. So keep it up. You're going to be a good leader too. You're muted, Miss Rachel.
Does anybody else have a question for Miss Ann? Last one. All right, then let's go ahead and do stars. So go ahead and hold up your character building sheets if you've got them. I'm running late for a meeting, so I'm not going to have you tell me which ones. Just tell me how many you have total. Let me switch this because I just put it. Caleb, how many do you have?
I have 10, ma'am.
10. Very nice, Caleb. Good job. Everybody clap for Caleb. Good job. All right, who else has some? Hold up the character building sheets. Hold up your character building sheets if you've got them. Connor, how many do you have?
I don't know how much stars I have, but this is the building good character
Number 2.
number 2 sheet.
Okay, good. So that's 1 star. Good job, Connor. Very nice. Who else? Lane, how many do you have?
9 stars.
9. Very good. Everyone clap for Lane. All right, who else has some? I think that is it for today. Awesome. All right. Well, I hope you guys all have a wonderful day, and I will see you on Mat Chat tomorrow morning. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, Miss Katie.